WildFyre, what's up? Happy New Year. I have missed you guys so freaking much. Man, all right, so for this new year and for this series, we're always going to do what we always do. We're going to see if we can do an entire service in 10 minutes. So this series is called Dive In, and we're literally going to dive in to some really cool stories from the Bible with some really cool messages. But be on the lookout. There's this guy or this fish named Gil. He needs your help. So let's see if you can help him. Okay? Let's start with the stories.
I'm so glad you all decided to join me on today's adventure. As you follow along, I have a story to tell you from God's Word. Do you finder fish know what God's Word is?
The Bible!
That's right. To help you see this story from the Bible, you better put on your special story goggles.
Zoop, zoop!
Now you're ready. One day, Jesus was standing by the sea. The people crowded around him and listened to every word he said. Jesus saw two boats at the edge of the water. He got into the boat that belonged to Peter. Jesus asked Peter to take the boat away from the shore a little bit. Then he sat down in the boat and taught the crowd of people. When he finished speaking, Jesus said to Peter, "Go out into the deep water so you can catch some fish." Peter told Jesus, "We've worked all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets." When Peter and his crew put the nets down into the water, they caught so many fish that their nets began to break. When Peter saw this, he knew that Jesus was special, and this was a special thing that had happened. Then Jesus told Peter, "Come and follow me. From now on, you will fish for people." Jesus didn't actually mean they were going to catch people like they caught fish, but he meant that they were going to follow Jesus and tell people about God's love for them. Friends, here's the amazing part. Peter and his friends left their boats and stinky nets and fish on the shore and followed Jesus. Jesus wants you to follow him too.
Hi, Finder Fish. I'm so glad you found me. I didn't know that I could follow Jesus. How do I do that?
Here are some ways you can follow Jesus. You can follow Jesus by reading about him in the Bible and doing what he says. You can also follow Jesus by telling others about God's love. And you can follow Jesus by following others who love him too. So here's what you need to know today, Finder Fish. Everybody say this after me. Follow Jesus.
Jesus!
And that's exactly what Gil needs to hear when we get to Coral Cove. Stay close, we're almost there.
Wow, I learned a lot in that story, but I want us to dig a little bit more into who Peter was. You know what I'm saying? After this one, we're gonna play a little game. Look ahead.
God's story. Peter fishes for men. So part of God's story is about a guy named Peter, and it goes like this. Actually, hold it right there. Peter's real name was Simon. He lived in a place called Capernaum where he had a wife and worked as a fisherman. Simon was just a normal guy, but his life was about to change forever. See, Simon was fishing one day like usual when Jesus got into Simon's boat. He taught some people who were standing around. Then he said to Simon, "Go out into deep water. Let down your net so you can catch some fish." Simon had been fishing all night without catching anything. The last thing he wanted to do was go back out into deep water. But since Jesus told him to do it, Simon obeyed, even though it didn't make any sense. And guess what? He and all the other fishermen caught so many fish that their boats began to sink. When Simon finally got back to the shore, he fell to his feet in front of Jesus. He realized Jesus was not just a great teacher, he was God's son and the rescuer God had promised. Jesus said, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will be catching men." Jesus wanted Simon to know that now that he knew who Jesus was, he could tell other people who Jesus was too. In fact, Jesus gave Simon a new name, Peter. It means rock, because Jesus would use Peter to build his church. Sometimes we think of a church as a building, but really, it's people who follow Jesus. And just like we might use rocks to build a church building, Peter was one of the very first people to follow Jesus and show others how to follow him too. And that's part of the story of Peter. So, in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Simon was a normal guy. He lived in Capernaum. He was a fisherman. He met Jesus. Jesus told him to go to deep water. Simon obeyed. He caught fish. He realized Jesus was God's son. Jesus said Peter could tell others about Jesus. He called Simon Peter. And that's a part of God's story.
All right, so have you been on the lookout for Gil? Because he's around here somewhere, and he still needs your help. For this game, if you answer these 2 questions right, I think you can save Gil. Okay? Here's question number 1. I knew you could do it. All right. Here's question number 2.
Yippee! Thank you, Finder Fish.
Man, I'm so glad you guys decided to dive in with me today. As always, you can reach out to us at WildFyre_FSC on Instagram and on TikTok. Yikes. But you know how we always do. We love you, but God love you so much more. And hey, check this song out. See you next week.
Danger, giants, battle is my story. But alone, I won't know. That's my glory. Shadows, you cannot hide me. My king will fight. The God of angel armies is always by my side. Yeah. Gotta, army. Gotta, I gotta. Tell me who gon' come for me. Greater is the one who you can't see. Bring the war, gotta, army. I gotta, army. Who run it, almighty, who own it, yeah. Life ain't been the same since death died. Wanted by your landslide. Hallelujah to the flesh. My, the power made a point that slide. Yeah, reppin' this side. Shoes ain't Gucci, I just keep my foot on reptiles. Coming from my net now. When the game about to end, you expect